In today's video, yet another weekly condo market update where I will be going through some trends in the Yonge and Eglinton area. Let's get to it. Hello everyone, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate and Remax Realtron Realty Inc. As always, back with another video for you guys here today. You can find my contact information in the description box with regards to my Gmail, my Instagram, my office. Feel free to get in touch with me with any questions you may have with regards to any topics covered in this video or any topics covered in any other video, or if you have any general inquiries whatsoever with regards to the GTA/Toronto real estate market. Lastly, as I always say, feel free to subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Your support in that regard is honestly greatly appreciated, but you're not obliged to do so whatsoever. Feel free not to subscribe, not to comment, not to review, but if you happen to enjoy my video, find it informative or entertaining, feel free to support in that way. Before we get into the point of today's video, one last time I want to remind you that I have a post up in my community tab asking for your questions. Feel free to ask me your questions either under the post, via Instagram, via Gmail. More people have actually reached out to me on my Instagram and my Gmail, interestingly enough. But yes, feel free to ask your questions and I will answer them in a future Toronto real estate Q&A video that will come out once I have a good set of questions, maybe in 2 weeks or to a month. Anyways, that is that. So let's get to today's weekly condo market update. As always, the timestamps are available in the comments and in the description. Feel free to zip around the video wherever you want. We're gonna start with the Midtown Toronto condo market. Very specifically speaking, just Yonge and Eglinton. That doesn't wholly compose the Midtown Toronto condo market. There's more to the Midtown Toronto condo market, but we're gonna just today speak about Yonge and Eglinton. So what we will be discussing is the immediate area within Yonge and Eglinton. 1 kilometer radius, as you can see most likely on the screen. As I prefaced, and as I hope it is obvious, this 1 kilometer radius from the intersection of Yonge and Eglinton is not the entirety of the Midtown Toronto condo market, but it is the more voluminous portions of Midtown Toronto condo market. And when most people think of Midtown, they think of this intersection, Yonge and Eglinton. Now, within this 1 kilometer radius, there is a lot of prominent and famous buildings, a lot of well-transacted buildings that really dominate the Midtown Toronto condo market, and especially this area. We're talking about 8 Eglinton, 125 Redpath, 25 Broadway, 2191 Yonge Street. Really, truly the entirety of Roehampton, within this radius. There's so many buildings on Roehampton, just a short distance. 30 Roehampton, 70 Roehampton, 161 Roehampton, 185 Roehampton, right? So these buildings are not obviously the exhaustive list of all the condominium buildings in this area that see a lot of purchase and sale and a lot of rental activity. But these I would probably have to say are the main buildings, the most transacted buildings in this area. And just to give you an idea, within the last 3 months, there has been 140 sales in this area, right within this 1 kilometer radius. Out of this 140, 28 of the solds belong to a building on Roehampton. If my math is correct, that's anywhere from 19 to 21%. Let's just say 20% of the total amount of transactions within the last 3 months. So really, truly speaking, really 6 to 7 buildings in this area, or 6 to 8 buildings, really drive the market. And referring back to the last 3 months, this 140 transactions, when we look at the average sold price within the last 3 months here, so we're, just to be clear, the duration of period we're taking a look at is from July 1st to the date of recording of this video, which is September 22nd, right? So this might be out September 24th, 25th. Point here is from July 1st to September 22nd, the average sold price with 140 transactions, 140 sold, has been $754,000. I find this particular intersection to be very good in terms of amenities and also very good in terms of transit. The major issue, and this is not within the last 3 months, this is even as far back as 2019, even before that, some would say, is the construction. There seems to be ever evolving 24/7 never ending construction. First and foremost, in terms of the transit, because of the implementation of Eglinton line that goes all the way east all the way west and obviously passes through Yonge and Eglinton due to obviously construction for the line. So that's there, but also a lot of these buildings that we have discussed and some I haven't even mentioned are very new in nature. So multiple developments have been occurring at the same time simultaneously, and there's new construction also coming to this area as well. Point here is, ask anyone who lives in this area, who's sold in this area, who I've worked with in terms of sellers or buyers in this area within the last 3 years. They will tell you that truly one of the downsides of the Yonge and Eglinton area is the constant construction that is even unparalleled in certain areas of downtown. Now let's look at individual months from July, starting with July. In July, based on 54 transactions, 54 sold in the month of July, the average sold price was $764,000. Moving into June, based on less transactions, based on 47 transactions, the average sold price dipped about $13,000 to $751,000. And then thus far in September, once again, as of this 22nd of September only, we don't have a full month of sold data. Thus far in September, the average sold price is $749 based on 37 transactions. Now, at face value, we have seen in the last 3 months a dip in prices, a dip in average prices. But once you take a look at the solds in the area on a monthly basis, which I did, I went month by month and I looked at all the number of transactions. Obviously, once again, not one by one, but a quick glance, stopping at this sale, stopping at that sale. When we look at transaction by transaction, what we find is the sold prices here are a little skewed in the sense of going from $764 to $749. Indicating within the last 3 months a significant drop. We have to take into account the types of units that sold each month. What do I mean by that? Well, when I took a look in July, the 54 solds that ended up at an average sold price of $764, we saw that there were 2 units that actually sold above $1.5 million. A penthouse in Belsize and a unit in one of the Broadway buildings, 25 Broadway. The 25 Broadway unit sold for $1.7 million. It's about 2,000 square feet. 3 bedrooms, 3 washrooms. And this is not to speak of the 2 parking spots that came with, where parking, is a scarce resource in Midtown and in North York, anywhere really, but especially the further south you get, the more of a scarce resource and the more of a valuable commodity you have when you have a parking spot. And then the other sold was actually not only even above 1.5, above 1.7, but it was above 2 million. We had another sold at, as I said, Belsize, a penthouse sold at the price of 2.2 million. A 2+1 compared to Broadway, a much newer building at only 1,500 square feet there. The point here is when 2 of the transactions out of 54 are above 1.5, one is at 1.7, one is above 2 million, these have an impact on the averages. They carry up the average. In contrast, when we moved to August, we had 8 units that sold below 600K. That wasn't the case in July. And then we didn't have units that sold near 2 million, near 1.7 million. And on the flip side of things, we also didn't have units as pricey as we had in July that we went through. And the same thing applies in September. When I went through the transactions in September, looked at some of the sold units, we didn't have quite as many as low priced units, but we had 3 below 600K, 1 in the 400s, which is the cheapest in the last 3 months that occurred in September. So frankly speaking, I think the 749, 751 we're talking here. And then when we take a look at the 3 months in total, the 754 we're talking is more of a fair estimate, and things have been quite stable. So I wouldn't derive from this quite the drop that it might appear in the average prices. I think for the last 3 months, even into September, things have been pretty steady and consistent here. The drop in transactions is noticeable, putting September aside because September is not a full month, but clearly September thus far we're not on pace to match the number of transactions. Putting aside extraordinary amount of sales within a week, we're not on pace to match the number of transactions that occurred in July in this area. But prices have remained steady. Transactions have dipped dipped a bit. I think this area is pretty consistent. Definitely, it is going to be a very curious and interesting thing for me to take a look at the sold data once we get a couple of months into fall, closer to winter. I really want to see how this area holds up into the winter fall market. I already have my personal projections in terms of what's going to happen in certain pockets of downtown Toronto with more surety, I guess, with more certainty. At the end of the day, the projections, I can't predict the future. But with this Yonge and Eglinton, at least in the immediate 1 kilometer radius we're talking here, I'm very curious as to see what's going to happen going into the fall and winter months. Anyways, I'm rambling at this point. Thank you very much so for watching. Feel free to subscribe, comment, rate, and review. You can find my contact information in the description box with regards to my Gmail, my Instagram, and my office. Feel free to get in touch with me with any questions you may have with regards to anything covered in this video. And yeah, I always appreciate your feedback, you watching. It means a lot. I'm not a full-time YouTube person. I work as a full-time real estate agent, so it means a lot to know that you watch and you find my content informative. And I really appreciate your time of the day. Thank you very much so for watching. Stay safe and stay tuned. Thank you.